What's this? This is what I have to put up with most of the day, most of the time. This boy here, this is Jasper, by the way, needs to say hello to everybody. So say hello and then you can go. Okay? Do you get a kiss?
Behind the scenes photo for you.
Hey?
Behind the scenes photo for you.
Get down.
Behind the scenes.
Jasper, what's this up here? Say hello. Say hello. Say, oh. Right. Let's bust some myths, shall we? First and foremost, probably about the channel is the best place to start. This is not, as you all probably suspect, a dog walking channel. They just happen to be with me whenever I'm out. They won't leave me alone. I'm not allowed out on my own. I apparently need a dog guard. Primarily, this is a channel about photography and about my journey through learning different varieties of photography. And that's basically all it is. If that interests you, then please carry on. And in this issue, we'll bust some myths. The one thing I'm learning very quickly in this house is that when you want to talk to somebody, it's silent. You want a bit of peace and quiet. Everybody wants a slice of you. Everybody wants to cut in on the action. Scott's taken the dogs out for a little bit of a walk, but they'll be back and they'll be wanting to be involved as usual. So we best probably crack on. Excuse me. What have I been doing for the last 6 months or so while I've been barred from access to university? Well, I've been winding the clock back, basically, looking at some of the analogue processes of photography, and learning some of the lessons that can teach one. The most vital lesson that I've learned, basically, is that of patience. Patience isn't a quality that many digital photographers need to apply, purely and simply because you can click and look, adjust, click and look, adjust, click and look. So you can just fire off almost a video film's worth of pictures to get the one that you're looking for. Analogue's a little different, obviously, and analogue teaches you that you have to take your time. You have to be patient, otherwise you're not going to get any kind of results. So in an attempt to learn that, I went right the way back and built myself a dark room in the house and started to have a play with some of the really old original forms of photography. So, with that in mind, our first episode of Mythbusters is going to be on the cyanotype process. So, for this episode, we're going to be winding the clock all the way back to 1842. And Sir John Herschel's cyanotype printing process, basically. You'll all have seen cyanotype, you'll have seen some artistic impressions of it, and you'll have seen some professional versions of it, because the process is that steady that it's I think even still now used in the blueprinting process, because the end result is that stable. And it's a relatively simple process to replicate and do in a reliable fashion, time and time again. So it's still well, it's still certainly artistically widely used. Now, for anybody who wants to get involved and have a go at Cyanotype, it's one of the most popular analogue styles, purely and simply because it's simple, and B, there are any number of kits out there to allow you to at least have a go at it, to have a reasonable bash at reproducing something. Excuse me. I actually started off with a kit about 7-8 months ago, and that was this kit by Silverprint, and nothing special about the kit. Most of the kits are generic, most of them are the same. The only difference between most of the kits are that you will either get the required chemicals, which is ferric ammonium citrate and potassium ferricyanide. Phew. I forgot, I lost it then for a second. Yeah, you get those two chemicals either as pre-mixed liquids in small little bottles, or as with the Silverprint kit, you get them in these 2 little individual files, 1 for each chemical, obviously. All the kits come with very clear instructions. They also will all come with a number of different sheets of OHP transparency, and a brush, a little sponge brush for applying it to applying the chemicals to your paper. Now, so long as you can be patient, so long as you can follow very simple instructions and very simple measurements, then you will get, after a few attempts, you'll get some reasonable results. You may even be able to reproduce something as tonally nice as that. So what can be wrong with that, right? Well, not an awful lot, apart from the fact that, as I've said, what attracts people to it is that the finished article, once it's dried, is very, very stable. So there's no more messing about, no more preserving processes to do. That's the lot. Cracking. The thing that I think drives people away from the process once they've had a go at it and once they've mastered it is that even though you're told that this process is stable, that it's incredibly durable, and that it won't fade and things like that once it's done, you're also told that this part of it, the chemical part of it, you're going to have to mix a small amount of each chemical in water, enough chemicals to immediately coat the paper that you're looking for, the number of prints that you're looking to produce. Now that turns it into a bit of a faff, if I'm honest. A bit non-sporadic. You can't really just think, oh hello, I'll do some Cyanotype this morning. You've got to, according to the instructions and everything you'll see online, you have to you have to mix every time that you do it. Not only is that a myth, it's actually contradictory to producing the results that you're after. You see, in its rawest form, just mixed, this stuff is very blue, and tonally not very receptive. Now, I picked up a few things off the web that said that you really do need to be patient. Once you've coated your paper, it's not just a matter of letting it dry and going out and doing your prints a couple of hours later. That your paper is actually very stable and actually ages. So if you coat your paper and leave them for, well, I tend to leave mine for 4 or 5 or even longer days. The longer you leave them, the more tonal quality you'll get in the result. And you'll also find it easier when you're developing them to find the developing sweet spot, to find out where your highlights are at the premium and you're not immediately cutting away the cyan. So don't just dry your paper and then go and print. You'll not be happy with the results. And the second thing is, certainly in the silver print one, it tells you to mix these chemicals just with pure tap water, which is okay if you're going to use it straight away. But ferric ammonium citrate is a derivative of iron, so that starts to react with the ions in tap water. And so if you're doing it with tap water, yes, you need to mix it, coat it, and then leave it for a few days. However, with every photographic process, I've always been informed and always been instructed that your favourite using distilled water. Now, in the UK, distilled water is ridiculously expensive. However, what you're looking for, taking away from the distilled water, are the ions, the chloric ions and the citric ions. So one recommendation that I can give you is go and buy deionized water from Halfords. It's a couple of quid for 5 litres. It's a lot cheaper than trying to find cheap distilled water. Honestly, it is. And what I've found is that if you use deionized water, then the ferric ammonium citrate doesn't go off. It just mixes and it stays stable. So with that in mind, you can pre-mix your chemicals in bulk. I've got over a litre of it. Well, I've got a litre of it here. There's not an awful lot left, as you can probably hear. Now this was made with distilled water and with a little pinch of citric acid. Almost 5 months ago, and it's still good. It's still not got lumps in it. I still don't have to filter it any further. And one of the benefits of this is that you will start to get results with patience. Yet again, that magic word. You'll start to get results that are as tonally and detailed as that. You will be amazed at how much detail you start being able to retrieve through the process the longer you leave your pre-mixed liquid. So there you go, 2 myths busted. You can pre-mix your chemicals, and you can leave them for months and months and months on end. In fact, I would say that within reason, the longer you leave them, the more they mature, providing you use distilled water, and the better results you'll get from your cyanotypes. And number 2, what was number 2? And number 2, if you coat your paper, leave your paper for 3 or 4 days, sometimes even longer, and you'll get more depth of tone. What you're kind of looking for, if you coat your paper just let it dry, your paper will be blue. Which you probably think you're looking for. If you leave your paper for 3 or 4 days, it'll become slightly more green. That doesn't mean that you're going to produce a green image, that means that you're going to produce a more stable blue image. And that's what you're looking for, is for the coating on the paper to have become a little bit green. I probably will show you when I'm doing one of my coating videos. I'll probably show you the result that you're looking for to attain the best tonal qualities that you can. But that's for another day. Having said all that, I hope you enjoyed the information that I've just passed over to you. I hope you stuck with it to the end. If you did, magic, thank you very much. And I hope to see you all again soon. Bye for now.